Nobody can stop me, I'm doing big things. I'm still the same, but now I'm chasing dreams. Follow my voices up in my brain to say that I've changed, but that ain't it, I just grew up. I let them hate, still believe in that fake shit that they do up. I'm on my own. Now I'll stay hands to pick me up, and when I'm down I grab a tool and paint a pad to lift me up. I'm struggling now more than ever. I'm glad my beats are clever. It's a promise that my future's secure through a dying never. I'm getting it all, thinking while I'm drinking it all. Is it good to think big even though I'm living so small? I promise to rise, promise to open your eyes. I'll make you off all of my story through each and every surprise. I'm on the run now, sitting to the top like a gun now. Enjoy my life up in the sky till I come down. I live my life making these sounds, be on sundown. Come around, listen and see what I've done now. I'm breaking the rules, small town boy, blowing up quickly. I'm looking for that break in my life, so come and get me. No pain, no gain, with all my pains in my brain. What do I gain to maintain? Training to beat the game, collect fame. And no train line that can't be tamed. I'm doing the same, playing this game. Give me the thing, I'm cocked back blasted. I won't struggle no more. Now I'm a sword, living life to the fullest, going on tours and doing shows. Getting plenty dough for clothes, flows are paying off. Trust me, I'ma go for those, and so I go. Hoping and I hope you know I won't stop, man. It's just the way you go, for I know I'm on the run, try and catch me.
Okay, today I'm going to go over do-it-yourself GM PCM hacking tuning. There's a lot of people out there who can't afford the HP tuners, and it makes it a whole lot easier when you can actually do these things yourself and not rely on another company to sell you their version of the software. There are some do-it-yourself shortcuts, and they actually work relatively good for the most part. They're not going to be as feature rich as something like HP tuners, but if you're just looking to get your swap going in your off-road rig, or maybe you don't like the drive-by-wire throttle body and you want to switch to a drive-by cable, it's totally possible and you can do it for free. So we're gonna start off. There's a couple pieces of software we're gonna need. The first piece of software is called PCM Hammer, and this is where we're gonna get the operating system number from. And we need the operating system number because as GM ECUs kind of evolved, they got more features, and each operating system operates just a little bit differently, or features are located in a different location. So we're going to have to figure out what version of the operating system we have on our PCM, and we'll have to download the corresponding definition file for it. So before we get in, we're going to need to make sure that we have a P01 or a P59 PCM. These are generally found in the late 90s. We're going to say like 97 to 2007 GM pickups with the LS based motors. So let's go ahead and we'll go to this site. It's at GitHub. You'll see it on the screen. I'll leave a link down below. We'll go over a couple of things here. One is the logger. Make sure that you add enough parameters to the logger when you do start using the logger. If you don't have enough parameters, then the login's going to be a little bit laggy. And the second is going to be, make sure you're not doing this on your only vehicle. Make sure that this is your off-road rig, or you have some other vehicle to get to work, because there are chances that things don't go right the first time, and you might have to work at it for a little bit to get your vehicle running again. So let's go ahead and download PCM Hammer. We're going to get this release 019. You can download it from the Microsoft Store, but I like to use zip files. I like to have a portable installation, if you will. I don't like all my files tied in with the file system, especially on software that's not doesn't need to be tied in. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and download this. I already downloaded it. You can see that there's a 1 there, so it's downloaded already. So you'd save it. I'm going to cancel this. I'll open up the zip file I have downloaded. So this is my zip file. We're going to open it. And we're going to take and we're going to extract it. I'd extract it somewhere easy to locate. I have mine on my desktop. And we'll just extract it into, you can either extract it straight from that folder or you can stick it into a folder yourself. Just make sure the files make it into your folder. And then we'll go back to our desktop and we're going to open up PCM Hammer. Actually, before we open up PCM Hammer, let's go get Tuner Pro. Tuner Pro is the other piece of software that we're going to need. This is where the actual tuning happens. PCM Hammer allows you to write the tune to the ECU. Tuner Pro allows you to modify that tune. And let me rephrase that. PCM Hammer allows you to download the existing ROM file off of your ECU as well. So when we do look at the operating system number, we'll also download our existing tune so that we have a backup copy of it if we ever just want to just stick that back onto there. So we have two choices here: Tuner Pro, Tuner Pro RT. Tuner Pro RT has a few more features than Tuner Pro. I'm not going to get into the depths of that, but I like to use Tuner Pro RT. So we'll go ahead and download that. Bear with me as my computer's a little slow. You'll see they actually just updated it. I just downloaded it on the 11th and they actually updated it the same day, so there is a newer version. So I'll just go ahead and download it and install it. So it is worth it to note that this will require a semi-specific cable. There's a couple to choose from. They're not expensive at all, especially when you're comparing to HP tuners. Now HP tuners will be a little bit faster from the downloading of your tune file and the uploading of your tune file. So there are a couple of drawbacks here. You can get a better cable that does the 4x writing, and that will significantly reduce the time to download and upload to and from your ECU. But generally on the slow cable it's about 15 minutes to download, and if you're changing operating systems, then the first time it'll probably be about a 15-minute upload, and then any other change after that is just changing just the areas where you've modified them. So the uploads will be a lot quicker after you've made your initial operating system change. If you're not changing the operating system and all you're doing is changing parameters, changing your tuning, removing certain features, changing from automatic or to a manual transmission, then you won't have to rewrite the entire tune file. Now with that said, we've just finished setting up Tuner Pro. Let's go ahead and we're going to open up PCM Hammer and we're going to get ready to read out our operating system. So we're going to open up Tuner Pro real quick, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things before we really get started. So Tuner Pro, I have the unregistered version. It works 100% unregistered, so there is not a big need to register it. It is nice to support the software developers though. So if you have the means, and it works as you expect, and you complete the project that you want to get done, maybe think about supporting the developers of the project. So as you can see, these are my XDF files. There's a few of them in here that don't work. This V4 is one that I found that works for me. You can see the operating system 122.12156. That's the operating system of my ECU. Yours may be different, and most likely will be unless you have a 2002 Chevy. This is what happens when you don't have the proper format of XDF file. So we'll select the one that does work. As you can see, without the XDF selected, there is no parameters to adjust. You can see I have my bin file or my tune loaded up, but there's no parameters showing up yet. So we'll select my definition file, my XDF, and then you see all the parameters open up. You can go through here and there's tons. Make sure you don't change anything that will adversely affect the way your engine drives. It takes a lot of knowledge of these to be able to know exactly what they all do. As you can tell, there's a lot of different things you can do in here. For me, I'm just doing normal things, getting rid of stuff that I don't need. I swapped over to a 5-speed transmission, so we're going to get rid of the automatic controls. I'm not going to go through that in this video, but these are just things that I've done to change the VIN number to mine. My pickup's a 92. It never came with this kind of motor. So we're going to make it look like this engine came in this truck. It's just for fun. Nobody's going to look at the VIN number, and this is never going to go to a smog shop, so nobody's even going to care. But just for tutorial purposes. I'm going to show you where you can find some XDFs or definition files for different vehicles. So when you're on this installation page, we'll go down to the wiki link. We'll open up that. On the right hand side, you'll see this .bin and .xdf repositories. We'll click into there. When it loads, this explains what the bin files are. Pretty self-explanatory. They're just the tune files. It's the information stored on the PCM. An XDF file, it explains that it's the definition file or the calibration information. And then down here we have 2 links to definition repositories and also bin or tune file repositories. So we can go in there and we can look for a definition that matches our specific vehicle or PCM. And then if you ever needed, you can find another tune file in there. If you have a 4L60 transmission and you have to replace it with a 4L80, then you can get the block, the transmission block for the 4L80 and replace it with the 4L60 transmission block. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get ready and connect this to the vehicle. So I have a OBD Link SX OBD2 to USB cable, and this is what I'm going to be using to download and upload tune files from my PCM. So we'll go ahead and plug that into the USB port, plug the other end into the OBD2 port, and we'll open up PCM Hammer. Now there's a couple of things you have to do when you open up PCM Hammer. You have to check your settings, make sure they match with your cable. Because the cable acts as a serial interface, you're gonna have to find out what communications port it is on. So I like to just go down to my search box and type in device manager, and that'll bring up your device manager, and when you plug your cable in, you'll be able to see what port your cable is connected to, and then we'll configure that here in the software. So you can see we have serial port and device type. Like I said, I have an OBD link. Mine's an OBD link SX. Most OBD links will work. I don't necessarily recommend the Bluetooth. I mean, although I'm sure it'll work just fine, I like to have a hardwired connection just to make sure that all data gets transferred properly. Yeah, we're going to go down here to device manager. Well, we're going to go to our search box, and then we're going to type in device manager. So you'll see ports, common LPT. This is where our serial cable or our OBD2 cable will pop up. So right now we just have Bluetooth link COM ports, so we don't have our cable connected yet. So we'll plug our USB into our computer, and here in any second now we'll see our device port pop up. So we see it as COM6. We see a little yellow triangle. That means it's either missing or installing drivers. We'll just give it a second because I'm sure I have the drivers. It just has to install them. Now they're installed. The device is working properly, and now we're on COM6. So now we'll go back to PCM Hammer. Make sure we select our device. And if you notice, I had this dialog box open before I connected the cable, so it obviously didn't scan the port before the dialog box opened. So we're going to have to back out of this, and then we'll go back to select device, and you'll see our COM6 port pop up. Select device type OBD link, enable communication. You can turn the vehicle on, click the test button, and it'll do a little test sequence, and then we'll click OK. So now that we're finally connected to the vehicle, this is where we're going to get our operating system number. We're going to go over here and we're going to click read properties. And just like that, we can see the VIN number, we can see the operating system ID, we can see the calibration ID, the hardware ID, the serial number, the broadcast code, which I've never had a necessary reason to use, but it's pretty much all here. So after that, you can go up here into the tools option, and then you can read entire PCM, and this is where you will read the entire PCM and save it as a backup for your entire PCM. You want to make sure you have a backup of it just in case anything goes wrong, a failed flash, or maybe you changed a parameter and now your engine doesn't run. Well, you can use this PCM backup to restore your PCM back to its original state before you had made any changes. So once you have your PCM downloaded, you'll save it as a file. Mine's called 92 Chevy 6.0.bin. Once you have it, you can open it up in Tuner Pro RT. You can load up your definition file, your .xdf file, and make sure it matches the operating system number. And you will get a list of parameters that you can change and adjust, and from here your imagination is, it'll take you wherever you want, whatever you want to do. If you want to change transmissions, you can do it. If you want to add more fuel, you can do it. You want to use different sensor calibrations or even just different sensors together, then you can go through and you can change these parameters to make these different things useful. There's way too much to get into right now. As time goes on, I'll likely get into I'll get further into the tuning aspects of the GM PCM, but for now this will at least allow you to get to a point of where you can actually just start poking around at things and seeing what you have available. Alright guys, this will conclude it, and I'll talk to you on the next video.